Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Right, here you go. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited to be with you today. Today, we're going to talk about an interesting topic. You may have heard about it, you may have not, but it is all about a genetic component that can make you more susceptible to having a harder time detoxing in your body, and could be one of the underlying causes to some of you that are going through some difficult times in your healing journey. It's called MTHFR, and it is a gene component in your body. We all have them, and it's a part of your genes that helps you to either detox well or detox poorly. All right, so what exactly is it? Let's talk about it. So MTHR, methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. Now you know why we just call it MTHFR for short. So it's both a gene and an enzyme, but in different contexts. So let me kind of unpack this with you just a minute. The MTHFR gene is a section of your DNA that contains the instructions for making the MTHFR enzyme. This gene can have variations or mutations that we commonly refer to as having MTHFR. Okay, now the MTHFR enzyme is the protein that your body produces following the instruction in the MTHFR gene. Okay, so this enzyme then is responsible for converting folate or vitamin B9 into an active form called methylfolate or 5-MTHF. All right, so when you might see a healthcare practitioner who says to you or talks about an MTHFR mutation, then what they're referring to is a variation in the gene that can affect how well the enzyme works. Okay, so again, the gene gives the instructions and the enzyme does the actual work within your body. So think about it like this. Think about the gene is like the recipe in the cookbook, and the enzyme is the dish that your body produces by following the recipe. Okay, so and then if there is a misprint in that recipe or a genetic mutation, the dish or the enzyme might not turn out quite right. Okay, so and that then affects your function and how well your body can perform. Okay, so hopefully that kind of helps you understand. So MTHFR is both a gene and an enzyme, and they just work differently. And so you can have a mutation in there which causes your body not to work as properly as you would like it to work. All right, so the MTHFR enzyme actually plays a crucial role in your body's methylation process. So methylation is basically, it's a biochemical process, and it does a few different things. First, it helps your body detoxify harmful substances. Then the other thing it does is it produces important neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. So a root to anxiety and depression can lie in having an MTHFR mutation. All right, it regulates your hormones, it supports your energy production, repairs your DNA, maintains cardiovascular health. So oftentimes people who have more cardiovascular issues we find have a mutation with this MTHFR. And it also helps to manage inflammation. So it's very important that we have this working well for us, but not all of us do. As a matter of fact, I have an MTHFR mutation. Actually, research suggests that 40 to 50% of people have this mutation. And actually, Hispanic populations and Italian populations can have a higher percentage of it as well. So, do you have it? I don't know. You might. We can continue to talk a little bit more into this. However, I do want to pause a minute, and I want to welcome Ellie to the screen. And thanks for joining us, Ellie, and remind you to let me know where you're listening from. Ellie is listening from Iowa. So where are you listening from? It's always fun to create that community and find out where you're here from. Okay. So let's keep diving in a little bit deeper. Now, I'm not going to go into terrible depth here because I know it can get a little confusing, but I do want you to have enough information that you understand. So what it means when a practitioner, or when I say to you, you have a MTHFR mutation. All right. So there's two main locations of the MTHFR gene. We have, and these are numbers, but remember there's one that starts with a C. So I always say C means cardiovascular. So C677T is a variation which is more associated with the cardiovascular system, having more issues in the cardiovascular, with your cardiovascular, and higher homocysteine. Okay, so the next one is A, and A, I always say, think of your attitude, all right? So that gene location, A1298C, so just think of the A. So we have the C for cardiovascular. Now we have the A for attitude. This one tends to be linked more to mood disorders, detoxification problems, and inflammation. Okay, so you don't have to remember those particular variations, but just understand that if you do have the MTHFR mutation, depending upon where it's located, may mean that you have more cardiovascular issues, or may mean that you have more detoxification, inflammation, attitude type of issues. Okay, attitude meaning like mood disorders. All right, so understanding just a high level of where we're coming from with MTHFR. Now, let's talk about some signs and symptoms. So obviously there are some symptoms that we look for, but I'm going to give you a list of symptoms and I'm going to give you some signs, but this does not mean that I am definitely not diagnosing you. The only way to know for sure is to test. And yes, I do test for this. So if you are interested, you can let me know and I can do a test on you to help you identify if you indeed do have an MTHFR mutation. All right, so here are some symptoms. Things like low energy and chronic fatigue, brain fog, memory issues, anxiety, depression, mood swings, hormonal imbalances, including thyroid problems, histamine intolerance, so you just really can't get over that histamine issue, unexplained allergic reactions, difficulty detoxifying, cardiovascular concerns, migraine headaches, chronic migraineurs. Checking in to see if you have this mutation is a real key factor there. Fertility issues or recurrent miscarriages is also a factor. Neural tube defects in pregnancy, things like spina bifida, can mean that you have this particular mutation. Digestive issues, sleep disturbances. So, but as you can tell, these are some of these are very common, and we talk about week after week. They can be associated with heavy metal toxicity. They can be associated with mold toxicity, with parasite toxicity. So we see that many of these symptoms can be other things as well. But what I want you to remember is that in identifying that root cause and understanding even the gene component, the way that your body is made, makes a huge difference in your healing journey. All right, so let's talk about some signs. So oftentimes when I'm working with patients and we're trying to understand their detoxification ability, I'll say things like, do you have any dimples from the butt cheeks up? Okay, so if you have cheek dimples, that's a good potential indicator that you might have an MTHFR gene mutation. So do you also stork bites? If your babies have stork bites when they're born, or if you did, sometimes you grow out of those, sometimes you do not. Those can be an indicator that that you may have the MTHFR mutation. But there's other ways that we look too. I look at blood work. I look at just your basic blood panel. Things like high homocysteine levels. Because when MTHFR isn't working properly, homocysteine, which is an amino acid, can build up in the blood. And so we see that on your blood work as higher homocysteine. Then there's low or imbalanced B vitamin levels, particularly B12 and folate. Even if you're consuming adequate amounts, you're saying to me, or you're saying to a practitioner or to yourself, I'm just taking these B vitamins, I'm taking folate every day, but I can't seem to get enough folate. I'm always testing low for it. Or B12. Those can be really good indicators that you have MTHFR mutation. However, I also see that with parasite infestation as well. Other things that I look for are elevated liver enzymes, because it may indicate to me that you have a more difficult time detoxifying the toxins. They all have to detoxify through the liver, and so your detoxification process is maybe compromised there. Also, another marker is a thyroid marker. Methylation affects hormone regulation. So if your thyroid markers are very out of whack, could indicate that you also have that mutation. And then just basic elevated inflammatory markers. Again, poor methylation can increase inflammation throughout the body. So these are some markers that I look at with your blood work when I see you as a patient, and even combining your stories. So looking at your blood work, understanding your detoxification process, listening to the symptoms of your body, reading your body language. When we start to put all those things together, and if the more check marks we mark off that you have, the more probability or less likely I am surprised when we do test you to see if you have that gene mutation. So, what can you do if you find out that you have a variation of the MTHFR? Well, first and foremost is that you want to avoid synthetic folic acid. This is super crucial. And I could hardly actually wait to actually say this to you, because I get so frustrated out there when I see prenatal vitamins on the shelf, and over and over and over again they have folic acid in them. And I think to myself, okay, 50% of the people that pick up that bottle to purchase cannot use it. It is not usable in their body, and in many ways can actually become more toxic in their body. And yet they're relying, because they're growing this little human inside of them, and they're relying on this vitamin to avoid getting some birth defects or neurotube defects or anything like that. Oh, it frustrates me. Can you tell? But with that MTHFR variation, your body struggles to convert that folic acid. Okay, so, and not only do we see it in vitamins, but we see it in fortified foods as well. A lot of your preservative foods will have it. So anytime you see fortified with, you can guess that it is fortified with folic acid. You want to stay away from that if you have the mutation. All right, now the next thing is to increase your natural folate-rich foods. Now, what are those? Those are foods like your dark green leafy greens, all right? So spinach, kale, collard greens. So consuming more of these, consuming more legumes and lentils, asparagus, avocado, broccoli, citrus fruits. These are all really good in folic acid and what you need. They're very folate-rich foods. Okay, and they're what our bodies need. Brussels sprouts is another really good. Brussels sprouts is like a superfood. It's so good for so many things, like your hormones. However, if you have thyroid issues, you want to slightly steam your Brussels sprout. You do not want to eat that raw. That's very hard on the thyroid. Okay, so little side note there. Just kind of looking at the comments here, I want to say welcome, Mar. I'm super glad that you can join from Winnipeg, Canada. All right. So the next thing that you can do to support your body with this mutation is you can consume quality protein with every meal. Why? Well, protein provides amino acids, and amino acids are necessary for the methylation process. So you really want to strive to get at 30 grams of protein at that meal. If you're under eating protein, you are starving your body of the ability to methylate, to break down the toxins. So focus on eating more protein. You hear me talk about that a lot, but eat more protein, eat more protein. If you can't eat enough protein, there's protein supplements that you can take. I can put a link in there for one of my favorites, protein supplements, and there's a protein shake that you can drink. So really focus on getting the protein. But in addition to that, you want to include other nutrient-dense foods, things like eggs for choline, organ meats for B vitamins, nuts and seeds for all of your minerals, colorful fruits and vegetables for your antioxidants, and then your fermented foods for your gut health. So eating a very good wide array of foods is important in helping your body to be optimally healthy, okay? So when you're eating those good healthy foods, you don't eat as many processed foods. And that's the other thing I do want to mention. You really want to minimize your processed foods. I was sending a birthday box to one of my kids who lives in another state. So I wanted to fill it with fun things, and I walked into Dollar General. And as I was walking in there, I was looking for things just to fill this birthday box, little gadgets. But I just looked at all the aisles of all the food there, and I really thought to myself, this is like a processed food heaven. And this is definitely not the place that I would go grocery shopping. So if you shop in places like that, just know you are living on processed foods. Processed foods, especially those with synthetic folic acid, preservatives, artificial colors, and artificial sweeteners, they're all super hard on your body, and you'll have a very difficult time detoxifying. Amongst other things, keeping your hormones balanced, having good energy, all of that. And then the other thing is that if you do have this gene mutation, you really want to be conscious of considering to limit your high histamine foods. You may have a histamine intolerance, and sometimes A good way to find that out, like if it's through the foods you're eating, is if your nose starts kind of dripping afterwards, or you get stuffy afterwards, you probably have, that's a high histamine food for your body. And again, there's some enzymes that you can take to help with that, but in general, just trying to avoid those foods as a whole would be really good. How do you know what high histamine foods are? Well, they're foods that have been aged, so leftovers. Cheeses can be high histamine foods. Those are some very common ones that are high histamine foods. All right. When considering your supplements, because if you have this gene mutation, you will need to supplement. You will want to supplement. But you have to be conscious about what you're doing. You have to be a label reader. And it's important that whoever you work with, you let them know that you have this mutation. First of all, you need to take methylated B vitamins. So you'll want to look for methylfolate, not folic acid, methylfolate. And then you'll also want to look for methylcobalamin, which is B12, vitamin B12. But just remember methyl. You say it 3 times, so then you remember. That's how I do it. Okay. Then you also want to consider some other supporting nutrients, things like vitamin B6, but preferably in a broken down version. So you want to look for P5P. Okay. Vitamin B2, magnesium, zinc, selenium. Right? So these are all really good supporting nutrients that your body will need. And then you do want to consider your body struggles a little bit more to detoxify. So consider things like some detoxification support, like NAC, N-acetylcysteine, milk thistle, and glutathione. Those are all really good to support your body. Doing things like coffee enemas are very good if you have this gene mutation, because coffee enemas boost your liver. They help to detoxify your liver. They also boost the glutathione in your liver. So very, very healthy for you. So adding in some coffee enemas as part of your lifestyle is very key in that. Speaking of other lifestyle things, okay, because it's not just about supplements, it's not just about foods and whatnot, it's also about our life and how we really balance our lifestyle with a healthy living. Avoiding toxic exposure as much as possible, so even just trying to reduce that toxic exposure. Using personal care products that are clean, they don't have a lot of toxins in them. You know, my favorite, ewg.org, is a great place to go. Match up everything that you're using in your personal care products and see where it lies in their rating scale. You want to be in the green. That's the place you want to live. If your toothpaste is not in the green, then when you run out, get a toothpaste or find a toothpaste that is in the green, right? So that's one way that you can really reduce those toxins. Managing your stress. I know that some of you cannot get out of the stressful situations that you're in, but you need to learn to work through that, not deal with it, work through that. So how do you do that? Well, you take breaks so that you get up and you walk around. You do some deep, heavy breathing. Breath work is key. You even play a frequency tone that helps with de-stressing. You can Google it. Frequency tone that helps with de-stressing. You can find all the frequency tones on Amazon Music or places like that. So doing things to be conscious that, number one, you are in a high stress situation or you are a stressed person. Number two, be conscious about what can I do to help bring down my stress. All right. Learning management skills maybe is something else. For many of you, it's a management issue. You just don't manage your time well. And so maybe taking some classes or working with me, I can help you with that. Okay. Support your detoxification pathways, making sure that you are pooping daily, 2 to 3 times a day, drinking plenty of water, half your body weight in ounces of good, clean, pure water, right? These, considering things like infrared saunas, trying to get your body to sweat out the toxins, exercising, at least getting out to walk around every once in a while. Those are all super key, super important. Also, you want to make sure that your gut health is adequate and your sleep is adequate. Getting that 6 to 7 hours of sleep each night is key in helping your body to be optimal. So there's a lot there. MTHFR. Do you have it? Maybe. 50% of people do. Can we test for it? Absolutely, we can test for it. I all the time do genetic testing, so I can help you with that. I can help you with any kind of functional lab testing or even blood work that we need to do. So we can take a look at all that. We can really get to the root of what's keeping your body from being optimally healthy. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you're not afraid. It's not just one more thing about your body. You don't feel like you have a broken body. You don't have a broken body. You have a beautiful body, a wonderful body that was wonderfully made, perfectly made. And so we just need to learn how to work with that body that you have in order to get the best results for you and to live the optimal life. So don't forget, I am here for you. If you want to meet one-on-one, if you need some help with your health journey, make sure that you comment or reach out, comment Discovery or reach out. I'll put a link in there. You can schedule an appointment and we will talk about you and how to get you into the healthiest place possible. There is hope. You don't have to remain sick. You don't have to remain not feeling like your best self. There's hope for health. Have a great week, everybody. I'll be anxious to see you next week. Bye.